Going into stoppage time, Portland was on their way to their first Cascadia victory since August 2024. And also, we're about to become the first team to beat a Jasper Sorensen-led Vancouver team when conceding first. Ultimately, neither of those came true. Not even a point. Portland entered the 90th minute, taking all three. They leave it with none.
We know in that room next door that we have not been good enough, and we can't be conceding these late goals. We need to, first of all, play better in the second half. We need to keep the ball better, and we need to manage the game slightly better, especially when you do get to those last 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes where if you are holding on to the lead for whatever reason or holding on to a draw, whatever the situation is, we need to be better.
I think we should have kept the ball better. If you don't keep the ball, then you're just gonna be under the cosh the whole second half. But ultimately, the referee's decision cost us the game. And you look last week against, the last time we played against LA Galaxy, the referee's decision cost us the game. So I feel frustrated. I feel frustrated for my players. I feel frustrated for the organisation. I think there was a lot of outstanding quality shown by my players tonight, and things that we're not in control of, things that we were not in control of, I felt cost us the game.
Through an hour-and-a-half game, it gets boiled down to moments, and the Timbers certainly were on their way to at least a draw. Alexander Aravena is going up the right wing in the final minute of the game. If he just keeps running towards the corner flag and delivers across, the Portland Timbers at least get a draw, and hell, who knows, maybe even get a goal. But they hadn't had a single shot on goal in the second half, so that would have been an optimistic approach. But as you see in the video here, Alexander Aravena absolutely has Thomas Muller beat for pace, and the defender with him has to defend sort of in the half space between Felipe Mora and Alexander Aravena. But the freshly onto the pitch Aravena puts a pass behind Felipe Mora, putting his fellow Chilean in a tough situation. Sebastian Berhalter absolutely crunches into Mora, but has a clean tackle, and we know what happens just a dozen seconds later. Berhalter, top of the box, takes it first time after it fortunately falls onto his plate.
The last sequence with the goal, we lose the ball and we have a defensive transition. It's Sebastian coming down and winning a tackle low in the pitch. Thomas loses it and they run on us and he make it back. And everybody can see that he's very, very tired. And then we have a couple of switches and he gets up and ends up with the loose ball right outside of the penalty area. And instead of just striking it full power, he still keeps cool and remains calm in the situation, takes it with the inside foot and just make sure that he hits the target.
Phil Neville not happy whatsoever about the Anthony handball decision. In my post-game final tweet, I agreed with him for the most part. I'm somebody that usually sides with the officials, and I understand your hands being up here is not a natural body position, but it is a human reaction when something physical is coming towards your face. You better go like this because you want to stop it from hitting your face. Is Anthony's just supposed to get a concussion or a broken nose in that situation? It is an awfully tough beat. But you look at it at the second time, and I still largely agree with Phil Neville here. It seems that it hits both of Anthony's forearms. As he puts his arms up, it ricochets off of both, and then Thomas Muller steps up to the spot to beat James Pantemis. And because the official was so confident and so immediate giving it to the spot, you have to understand where he's coming from. If he oohs and ahs about it, goes look at the monitor for 5 minutes, and then gives it, I think Timber fans have even more of a grudge to hold. But Neville, not happy with the decision.
Well, we went down to 10 men against LA Galaxy, and the players on the pitch were incredible. They were fighting. There's an incredible spirit. I believe in them. They believe in themselves. They believe in everything that we're doing, and we've had to show those qualities tonight. And I felt again the Galaxy game we had to show those qualities because of a really poor decision, and today we had to show those qualities because of and we didn't get our rewards because of another poor decision. So I think in life the tide turns. You eventually get the rub of the green. At this moment in time, we've had 4 or 5 decisions this season that we think have been really, really poor. But Pro will pat themselves on the back and they'll go home happy and they'll get their autographs, and we've just got to keep going. I believe in my players. I believe in we've got some outstanding young players that want to play the right way. In the second half, we need more courage to play.
Positives from this game: a pair of Colombians making their debut. Juan Mosquera only able to go 45 minutes, but he was awesome. The goal, his third in Cascadia Cup matches, he's had 2 against Seattle and now 1 against Vancouver, is just a piece of artwork. He's coming off a hurt ankle. You cannot tell it in a strike like that. And now in the last 3 games against the Whitecaps, 3 world-class goals. Unfortunately, the Timbers have been able to win none of the games where Kamal Miller scored at BC Place last year, Eric Izoita scored from outside of the box a month ago, and now this Juan Mosquera, in my opinion, the best of the bunch. Alternatively, we look at Jose Caicedo. His MLS debut, the broadcasters on Apple TV kept nudging that he was only going to play about 60 minutes, but Caicedo was playing so well and looked so fit. This was his first start since November. He was able to go the full 90. And Caicedo showed leadership on the pitch. When Jim Rafori, who didn't have a great game, would make a mistake, he would talk to him in Spanish, hype him back up. When the team cleared the line, you could tell the body language by Jose Caicedo getting the team back up. And as an individual performance, he made a number of noticeable interceptions and tackles that will certainly make him one of the first names on the team sheet next week against LAFC.
I've got every confidence in everyone that's working towards that goal. The last 2 games have shown a small glimpse of who we are and what we're about. We saw some outstanding debuts tonight.
Portland could not string together double-digit passes in that second half. I can't quite pinpoint my finger as to why. Obviously, this Vancouver press speaks for itself. In terms of PPDA, passes per defensive action, they are the best in Major League Soccer, which means they dispossess you as quick as possible. And something similar that Jasper Sorensen did in this game that he did in the game a year ago at BC Place. I remember Jaden Nelson against the Timbers last year at BC Place was yanked off at halftime despite looking pretty promising on attack on Kim Ali Ahmed, and that made a world of difference. In this game, AZ Jackson yanked off at halftime. He was not great. He wasn't getting back on his flank defensively. Instead comes Emmanuel Sabi, and that completely changes things. These little tweaks by Jasper Sorensen were a big reason why Vancouver got such a stranglehold in the second half of this game, down a goal, and the second half of last year's game on the road at Vancouver as well. Unfortunately, Phil Neville was not able to become the first ever coach to beat Jasper Sorensen's Whitecap side when going down a goal.
We can be a good team, and we're showing that for periods, but we're not showing it consistently enough. I think, these goals we're conceding are just poor. I don't know what else to say. That first goal was one ball over the top, and I don't know if it's a miscommunication. I don't really know what happened, but one ball over the top and they score. And then the second half, once we slowly get ourselves into it, which again it takes a little bit too long for us to get into it, but once we get into it, we start to play well and we start to move the ball and create opportunities, and like you say, get back into the game, get the lead, and then from there we need to continue to do the things that we're doing well and not kind of try as hard as we can not to sink back and just keep giving up the ball.
That'll do it for the post-game report. Final score 3-2, Whitecaps win. And they now have a stranglehold on the Cascadia Cup as well, hoping to be reigning champs in that category. Up next for the Portland Timbers, LAFC, who, if you didn't notice, won 6-0 today against Orlando City. Denny Bwanka had an 8-minute hat trick in that game, and Heung-min Son had 4 assists. About it for the Timbers is they've always played LAFC really well at Providence Park. And also, this game, I don't want to say it's not a priority for LAFC, but it is sandwiched in between a Cruz Azul home game and a Cruz Azul away game in the quarterfinals of CONCACAF Champions League. So we could see a rotated LAFC side who stands top of the Western Conference. I'm Adam Sussman. I'll talk to you in the media roundup this week, and be sure to tune into the Timber Review Patreon on Monday for Adam Booker's write-up from this game and a full review of this match on Tuesday's podcast of the Timber Review. Talk to you soon.